oh, it's good to have them back. Now, Resident Evil was one of my favourite games of all time, Hex, and I love this series. It has evolved and tried to mix things up with weird spin-offs from time to time with mixed success. Resident Evil 6 tries to freshen up the series again with a more modern setting and some big ideas, but sadly that is also its downfall.
We should ask for more money.
A lot more.
The game is broken up into 3 co-op campaigns and a 4th solo campaign with Ada. There is a new virus in town, the C virus, and only Jake, the money-focused merc, has the antibodies that might stop it.
We need you, Jake. We need your blood.
How many viruses can there be?
Yes, one day they'll get through the whole alphabet. It's great to see so many Resident Evil cast members all back together though. You can play as Chris, Leon, or Sherry, and there's a bunch of newcomers as well, such as Helena, who I think is the standout, and I think I fell a little bit in love with her.
Take me! Please! I'll do anything! Please! Please! Please don't hurt him!
I didn't know what else to do. They're surprisingly lengthy campaigns too. Leon's alone is 6 or 7 hours, so we haven't quite finished them all yet.
You're almost there! Keep running!
The interesting thing is these storylines all intersect with each other, and from what we can gather, when you take this online, these will actually be 4-player co-op sections.
What a great idea. And also, similar to Dark Souls really, there's an agent hunt mode where you can apparently invade someone else's game and try to take them down.
I think it's great that we're seeing developers experimenting with multiplayer ideas like this, and I really hope it works out.
Absolutely, and the campaign has some really cool moments too. But at the same time, there are also some very frustrating and weak sections, which isn't helped by an inelegant checkpoint system. The biggest change is that Resident Evil is no longer a tense survival horror game. They've taken the action horror hybrid model that worked really well in 4 and 5 and just completely focused on the action.
Yeah, I mean, all the suspense and the atmosphere is gone. Ammo is still scarce-ish, but everyone is kitted out with a variety of weapons from the get-go, and even the few times the pace slows down, it never feels suspenseful. The crazy controls don't lend themselves to the tight corridors this game funnels you through. You can slide, charge, and fight on the floor, and there's a heavy focus on melee now. I like the counters you can do when a zombie lunges for you, but you'll punch the air a lot with misfires. Getting up close with zombies in Resident Evil has always been the last resort, but here you're doing spin kicks and punches and all sorts of action hero stuff.
Yeah, it's like they're taking cues from the movies now, which is a terrible idea. But, you know, on the one hand, I understand these guys have been fighting zombies for a long time, they've got their strategies down, and it does kind of work in Chris's campaign because, you know, it's all military dudes fighting mutant zombies, and he's just a machine. It still feels weird to have so much melee in there though, and I'd rather it be just about the shooting and the reloading and that strategy.
I quite liked all the quick time events that were sort of scattered throughout the game to break up the action. They didn't feel intrusive, and I thought they added to the gameplay.
Yeah, I like them all too, except for that climbing up something one. Left, right with the triggers never works.
What is your beef with climbing quick time events?
It takes me so long.
Oh, it's so simple. It's just left, right, just go all the way up.
It's so simple. Why do I fall off so much?
Well, I don't know.
Come on, Leon! Catch up!
I'd always get stuck with the bossy ones. Shit! Watch out!
One thing I really liked is how you can sometimes take a zombie's weapon and turn it against them. But there's also quick fire when you press the triggers together to automatically attack enemies near you. And more than half the time you'll do it by accident when you're simply going to aim and fire, so it just gets you hurt, wastes ammo, and frustrates you. One of the most important things in a zombie shooter is solid controls. You need to be stressed because, you know, you're trying to back away from something while reloading quickly and keeping your eye on everything around you, not because you're constantly fumbling with the controls and punching the air all the time.
Yeah, they are messy and inconsistent. Also, occasionally when you need to climb up something in a scripted moment, you have to press A on the thing and you can't quite get on the object, and that always drives me nuts. Out of all of the campaigns, I think Leon's campaign is the worst, which is the first one.
I'm on it.
It sees Leon and Helena going through a university campus, and this is where the first signs of a lack of polish to this game start to show. Any Resident Evil fan knows if you see a zombie on the ground, you start shooting it in the head before you even get near it. That way you can get a heads up on the fight or check if they're actually a zombie or just dead. But in this game, it doesn't do anything. They're invulnerable until you walk past them and it triggers the scripted action sequence, and then after that, you can attack them.
And what's worse is you're wasting precious ammo trying to shoot them in these moments when they're apparently invulnerable because it's going through that animation. I mean, this is a heavily scripted game. Sometimes it feels like you walk only a few steps and then it triggers a cutscene. The good news is the cutscenes themselves are excellent. Characters convey real emotion.
Put your gun down, Chris. I lost all my men because of her!
And the sheer number of cutscenes is an accomplishment, especially as even 10 hours in, they're still just as exciting.
Yeah, and as much as I hate Leon and his stupid hair and bangs, there are some beautiful moments between him and Helena.
I'm fine.
But for every positive, this game has a negative. The developers want you to play Resident Evil 6 a very specific way with no wiggle room. For example, if you're walking down a corridor and the game wants you to look at something, it will just grab that controller away from you, point it at the object, but still let you keep walking, and in fact force you to walk a certain distance sometimes, stuck in that camera view just so you observe it. That drove me beyond madness, Hex. It drove me yelling at the TV crazy. Look at it!
What?
Look at it! Look at it! Look right at it!
My head! Bonjour!
Look at it!
Stop it!
Yeah, I mean, if Half-Life has taught us anything, it's that leaving control in the hands of the player is so important. The zombies have had an overhaul, they're tougher and they've upped the gore, which makes them feel more like a rotten walking bag of flesh. They have done a good job of populating the world with lots of little reminders of how bad an outbreak would be, so there is a sense of scale to the disaster.
Yeah, it's certainly affecting, but I think a lot of people will play through that first campaign and not have a good time and then may not finish the rest of them, and the other campaigns are much better. Especially Chris's campaign and his gang of army buddies fighting mutant armies. Doesn't feel like Resident Evil, but it's still a really cool idea, and you believe his story of redemption too.
Ada's campaign is the more classic Resident Evil campaign, and arguably the most fun. You're on your own, there are more puzzles, and it's genuinely exciting playing out the crossover parts in all of these storylines. It was good to find some slightly more interesting puzzling here, because the co-op puzzles are so simple. So simple, in fact, even a zombie could work it out.
Yeah, they are tedious. I think the hardest one was ring 5 bells, and it actually just tells you to do that. Plus, I could totally fit my hands through these bars and just grab the thing I need anyway.
I don't mind that video game stuff so much, such as finding ammo in barrels or even a watermelon in Resident Evil 5.
Who hides ammo in a watermelon?
That's a good place to hide one. You wouldn't expect to find one in there, so, you know, it's hiding it from the opposition.
Just cut this watermelon, put some ammo in it, save that for later, put it back together perfectly, put it in a fruit stall in the middle of nowhere, bam.
Smart.
Yeah. Preparing for the outbreak. Also, I am starting to tire a little bit of the idea that so much of this world is designed for only 2 people to activate. Only 2 people can open this door. It just doesn't make sense in my brain. There is a great variety of enemies that you fight though, all with unique strategies, and most of the boss fights are actually pretty good. The zombie ragdoll though isn't that great. They tend to flip out a bit, the physics is a bit wonky donkey.
I feel like a lot of these issues could be forgiven if the game just looked a bit better, but the whole thing is so dark and the recommended brightness setting is crazy low, and then if you try and push the brightness up, everything just looks really grey and just accentuates the bland textures.
Yeah, it's not a beautiful looking game, and I think back to Resident Evil 5 and how interesting that setting actually was, and I think they've had to make some concessions visually because they have made it bigger with a lot more going on, but I don't think that was worth it.
And the offline AI is as useless as it was in 5 and just may as well not be there. Look, for all our criticisms, I don't think we have seen the best this game can be, and that's with all those online ideas in play. Plus, there are exciting moments that make no sense, but they're still very enjoyable, such as Zombie Shark. Beautiful emotion in those cutscenes, though. I'm giving it 6.
Yeah, look, they've gone so big on this game, I think it's definitely come at the cost of polish. And granted, we aren't on the final code, so some things may change, but I just think this game is still holding on to old ideas that work and trying to mesh it in with a modern third-person action shooter, and they just don't gel well together here, so I'm giving it 5 out of 10 rubber chickens.